as possible.
They're going to do the audit. Do you plan to do an internal investigation in your administration?
I don't think it's necessary.
Can you explain some of the...
That is Sarah Huckabee Sanders, who is somehow the governor of Arkansas in a complete panic mode. And I'm Ben Meidas from the MeidasTouch Network. Earlier in this week, we released our video on LECTERN Gate here at the MeidasTouch Network, a scandal involving Sarah Huckabee Sanders purchasing purportedly a lectern at a price of $19,000 and change back in June. But when you unravel the layers, it appears that she was funneling money to her friend through an LLC referred to as Beckett Events LLC. Her friend is Virginia Beckett, who had nothing to do with being a middleman when it comes to the sale of lecterns. They don't sell lecterns at Beckett Events LLC. And as you unravel the layers further, it seems that Virginia Beckett, her friend Hannah Stone, who's a colleague in Beckett Events LLC, this new entity they formed, took a very lavish trip to Paris where they partied with Sarah Huckabee Sanders in Paris. A very expensive, lavish trip. And could this purchase just underneath the reporting limits of $20,000 for some purported lectern be actually concealing the true purpose of the money, which was just to basically use taxpayer funds to pay for a party with friends in Paris? So Sarah Huckabee Sanders, I'm not sure if she's seen our video on LECTERN Gate, but a million other people have seen our video on LECTERN Gate. It's approaching the population in Arkansas if it continues to grow at this pace. Let me show you this next clip. This was a press conference that Sarah Huckabee Sanders gave earlier this week after we released our video, where she basically is asked a question about the LECTERN Gate, the lectern purchase, and she just says, I'm not going to address that. We're focusing on real issues here. We're focusing on serious issues here. Here, play this clip.
Yeah, because I figure if I do, then you would talk about nothing else instead of the important actions that we're actually taking today, which unfortunately is not surprising that while we are focused on things that actually impact our state and impact Arkansans, the media wants to spend all of their time focused on things that frankly don't. Any other questions?
Where's the lectern? Where is the lectern, Sarah Huckabee Sanders? Because when you allowed the press to look at the purported lectern after you were called out on it a month or so back, this was what the lectern you claimed was a Falcon lectern with special features. Well, let's take a look at what a real, authentic Falcon lectern looks like. Well, here's one right here that has all the special features. Here's a Falcon lectern used by the ambassador of Israel to the United States, and this one only costs $4,351. That's an authentic Falcon, and the actual Falcon lectern company has confirmed that you have a fake Falcon lectern. So Sarah Huckabee Sanders, where did the money go and where's the lectern? Because the lectern you were standing in front of clearly is not the Falcon lectern. Folks, there's just bombshell smoking gun evidence here as well. And I want to give my hat tip to Matt Campbell at Blue Hog Report, the lawyer and the individual who made the initial FOIA requests back in June. He uncovered the corruption as he was looking through these financials, and as you look through them, look, $19,029.25 to Beckett Events LLC. What could that be for? So Matt Campbell requested additional documentation. Sarah Huckabee Sanders called a special session in the legislature. We need a new law that outlaws FOIA requests on travel expenses and reimbursements. We need to stop FOIA requests into that. Oh, well, that raises red flag after red flag. Whistleblowers are coming forward as well. And we have an email, for example, from someone named Casey Cantlin, who wrote this email on September 15, 2023, to be exact. And she writes, she's in the Administrative Services Department for the state of Arkansas. She's She's the administrative services manager. And she says how she and others in her department were requested to tamper with and manipulate original documents involving the purchase of the so-called LECTERN, which is now missing, by the way, to write for reimbursement, because what happened recently is the Arkansas GOP now claims that it has reimbursed the state for the purchase of the LECTERN. So now what Sarah Huckabee Sanders is trying to claim is, oh, it was always the intent for reimbursement. But here on September 15, 2023, the administrative services manager says, no, we were just told to add on the original documents a notation that says for reimbursement. And by the way, even if it was in the original, which it was not, it's a document that was tampered with, it still wouldn't make this situation any better and any less of a crime. But now you add, in addition to potential wire fraud, layer on top of that manipulating public records, which is also a felony, the same way wire fraud is under both Arkansas state law as well as federal law. Here's a letter from someone who works at the Administrative Services Department, Cassie Canton. Here's what she says. She says, the attached deposit was brought to me late yesterday afternoon, September 14, 2023, from Laura Hamilton at the governor's office. This is a check from the Republican Party of Arkansas to reimburse the podium purchase. Not a podium, it's a lectern, but it's all right. The podium purchase in June 2023 for $19,029.25 on the state P card. Laura was instructed for either our office or herself to make a note on the original invoice that it was to be reimbursed. As you can see on the attachment, she made the note. I asked if she wanted to date the note, and she stated she was told not to date it, but just make the note that the invoice was to be reimbursed. I also told her that they would not be getting any appropriation back for this, and she indicated that she already told Judd Deere the same thing. So in other words, she's being told by the governor's office to put a notation and not to date the notation. And just so you see the little notation right there, there it is, the QuickBooks payment receipt to be reimbursed, manipulating public records. It's right there, folks. That's unlawful. That is a crime.
This episode of the MeidasTouch podcast is brought to you by Manacora Honey. Now, when I say the word honey, you might be thinking of that stuff that comes in the plastic bear-shaped bottle at the supermarket. Well, this is nothing like that. Manacora makes Manuka honey, a super honey that comes from New Zealand, where the bees only feed on the nectar of the Manuka tea tree, making something that's rich and with a creamier texture that's unlike anything you've ever had before. You can use it just like honey you're used to, but Manuka honey is super because it also contains unique antioxidants and prebiotics, as well as a natural antibacterial compound called MGO that only comes from the nectar of this tea tree. These nutrients support optimal immune and digestive health, so it's a win-win. You can continue to use honey in all the ways that you know and love, and you can enjoy all of the health benefits of the MGO as well. Manacora sent me a jar and a squeeze bottle of their 850 plus MGO Manuka honey, their best-selling product, and it's phenomenal. The 850 plus honey has the creamy caramel texture that melts in your mouth, and it's unlike anything I've ever had. I can grab a spoonful out of the jar and put it in my favorite beverage, or squeeze some honey out on some toast or oatmeal. It's delicious. Each morning I start my day with a spoonful of Manuka honey, and it is a game changer. Now, if you head to manacora.com/Meidas or use code Meidas, you'll automatically get an extra free pack of the 850 plus honey sticks with your order. That's a $15 value. Now, I love the jar. I love the squeeze bottle, but the extra pack of compostable honey sticks is a perfect game-changing move for whenever you're on the go. You can bring them with you when you're traveling, or when you need a quick snack, or running quick errands, or if you need an energy boost if you're on a run or at the gym. That's manukora.com/Meidas or use code Meidas to get free pack of compostable honey sticks with your order. You haven't tasted or seen honey like this before, so indulge and try some honey with superpowers from Manacora.
There is now an audit into all of this, and you saw from the outset of this video, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, when she was questioned after we released our video about whether she's going to do an internal investigation. She's like, why? Why would I do that? I don't know, maybe because a crime was committed. And if you really care about law and order, you should look into a crime. And by the way, this is being investigated on a bipartisan basis, as it should. And Jimmy Hickey Jr., a state senator, a Republican, is someone who had petitioned to the audit committee on a bipartisan basis. Let's look into this. Here was the letter sent by State Senator Jimmy Hickey, again a Republican, who wrote, "Dear Chairman Wallace and Chairman Gazaway, pursuant to the rules of the Legislative Joint Auditing Committee, I request one or more audits regarding the following matters: the purchase of a podium or lectern, it's a lectern, from Beckett Events LLC for the use of the governor's office, and 2, all matters involving the governor or the governor's office made confidential by Section 4A of Act 7 of the first extraordinary session of 2023. That's when Sarah Huckabee Sanders wanted to change the FOIA laws. Further, I request that the Arkansas Legislative Audit develop procedures for reporting my request above and any similar request in the future, in compliance with existing law in Section 5 of Act 7 of the first extraordinary session of 2023. Thank you for your attention to this letter. Signed, Jimmy Hickey Jr. And so, you see Sarah Huckabee Sanders now being confronted by the press about this, as they should be confronting her about this. I'm not doing an internal investigation. I'm not going to be asking. We're doing more important things than that. Well, here is Sarah Huckabee Sanders saying that her message to everyone, it's the performative thing. She's like speaking in Texas and acting like she's all tough, not providing solutions. And here she goes. Our message is Arkansas is open for business. Just remember that. Here, let's play this clip.
Our message is Arkansas is open for business. We're glad we're doing as well as we are. We have an unbelievably strong economy. We're continuing to cut taxes and still invest in things like education and public safety. Just remember, when you get to Arkansas, don't forget why you left California in the first place.
Yeah. Good point.
It should be noted that in terms of rankings, Arkansas right now is 49th in crime, 49th in education, about 47th in healthcare, and 40th in infrastructure. And I want to say this: Arkansas is a absolutely beautiful and great state. It has incredible history. I know we have a lot of people who watch the MeidasTouch Network in Arkansas, and you know you deserve better than this corruption by Sarah Huckabee Sanders. And I don't care what political party you are, corruption is corruption is corruption, and it absolutely must be dealt with. So I encourage the press, I encourage everybody in Arkansas to continue the pressure. Sarah Huckabee Sanders and her ilk are relying on you just to tap out. They're relying on you to say, oh, she's above the law, nothing's ever going to happen. And she and her ilk want to distract you with other things and keep you looking elsewhere. But don't. Ask questions. Keep asking questions. By the way, like this article that was just published in the Arkansas Democrat Gazette, let me conclude by reading this to you because I think it was a powerful article on the LECTERN affair from the Democrat Gazette in Arkansas. Governor Sarah Sanders' trip to Europe and purchase of $19,000 lectern do not pass the smell test. The lectern was purchased from Beckett Events in Arlington, Virginia. The owner of Beckett Events, Virginia Beckett, was at Sarah's inauguration. The website of Beckett Events does not indicate that it sells lecterns. Did Virginia Beckett accompany Sanders to Europe or meet her there? Where did Beckett Events obtain the lectern, and how much did it pay for it? I spent about 4 hours pricing lecterns on the internet with different companies. The most expensive one I found that looked like the one Sanders purchased was approximately $7,000. Let me pause there. The one that Sanders purchased is a fake. It clearly looks like a fake. It's probably a few $100s. But let's assume arguendo at $7,000, which it isn't. But assume. That is a difference of $12,000. Why was the price so inflated? Why did the state Republican Party reimburse the state for the lectern several months later and only after the purchase became public? Why didn't the state Republican Party purchase the lectern directly? Senator Jimmy Hickey is asking for a legislative audit. That is a start. The problem with a legislative audit is credibility. I worked in state government finance for 40 years and experienced at least 30 audits. It seems legislative audit purposely lose its independence depending on the circumstance. I witnessed this happen. A better method would be to hire an audit firm that specializes in forensic accounting or have the FBI perform the audit. Sanders needs to be held accountable. According to the whistleblower, documents, including the invoice, have been altered. Part of my career in state government was working in purchasing. The only time I saw an invoice altered by an employee resulted in that person being terminated is also unlawful. I believe Sanders' sole purpose in calling the recent special session was to dilute FOIA and hide her dishonesty and corruption. Concerning the lectern, the tax cuts were just a pretext for it. And again, I think that more pieces like that need to be written. More questions need to be asked. And again, we released our video 2-3 days ago at this point from the time of this video. It's received over 1 million views. This video will receive a ton of views as well. We are going to keep this front and center here at the MeidasTouch Network because corruption begets corruption begets corruption. And as I've said before, I don't care what political party you are in. One of the things that we are dedicating this network to is to call out this corruption. And someone like Sarah Huckabee Sanders, who has spent her entire career lying and lying and lying, thinks that she's impervious to accountability. And if you care about the rule of law, you should care about holding Sarah Huckabee Sanders accountable in Lectern Gate. I'm Ben Meidas from the MeidasTouch Network. Hit subscribe. We're on our way to 2 million subscribers thanks to your support. Check us out at patreon.com/MeidasTouch.
Hey Meidas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram at MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.